I live in a medium-sized apartment building in a fairly major city. While the neighborhood I live in is more on the safe side, violence is very high in my city as a whole, and we have a big trafficking problem. Despite this, I feel pretty safe going out, especially close to my apartment building where it is mostly well lit, and I am friendly with a few of the regular homeless people. Last night I got a reminder that my safety isn't guaranteed, and I have been pretty shaken since. Around 12:20 a.m. I asked my partner if he wanted to share a joint with me, and when he declined, I locked the apartment and went downstairs myself. The exit I take spits me out on the main street where there is still the occasional car driving by at this time. Usually this type of human presence comforts me walking late at night, but tonight a lone black van approached in my peripheral and started to drive slowly, matching my walking pace until I rounded the corner, and the van was stopped by a stoplight. I found it very strange at the time, but the van was on the other side of the street, and there were 1 to 2 other cars, so I brushed it off. Around the corner there is a little food truck area with a bunch of picnic tables. They have like Christmas string lights hung up and a few other ambient lights that are kept on whole night, but it barely illuminates the area. As I'm walking past the picnic tables, I notice a large man dressed in dark clothes sitting alone at one of the back tables. He was wearing a hooded hat so I couldn't see his whole face, but his eyes followed me as I walked the border of the picnic area. My usual smoke spot is behind a fence on the other side of the picnic area. I was a little shaken by spotting that man, and also didn't want to upset him by smoking near him, so I chose a slightly further spot against the side of a construction vehicle. I lit my joint and start puffing away and reading something on my phone. I soon start getting this really uneasy sensation. It felt like all my hairs were standing up, and I got the most intense goosebumps I've ever felt. My phone was still playing music, and as I turned it off I heard this shifting and rustling of gravel on the ground behind me. I swung my head around and saw a man reaching towards me with huge hands. I only caught a glimpse of his face before I fell to the ground. His eyes were wide, bulging, and extremely dark. They terrified me. His mouth was agape and he was basically snarling at me. He scared me so bad I fell to the ground, stumbled, and broke into a run all in like 1 second. I ran for a few seconds before I peeked behind my shoulder and saw him a couple yards behind me. At this point I saw it was definitely the man who was sitting at the picnic table, and I now saw that he was wearing what looked like a dirty bucket hat. He had shoulder-length dirty light-colored hair and was way taller than me. He was definitely gaining on me, as I had lost ground by turning around, and I am not in the best shape to begin with. I was about to reach the first entrance to the building, but the issue was 1, there were double doors at this entrance that closed quite slowly, and 2, the only way up was an elevator, so if he got inside with me I was so out of luck. I kept running, taking my chances with my running ability versus quickly opening doors ability. I kept running along the other side of the building to get to the second entrance to the building. This one is just 2 single doors which open to the stairwell up to my apartment. It's above the 2nd floor. That's all I'll say because I'm still scared. As I'm nearing this entrance, I see another man who appears to be speed walking directly towards me from the opposite direction. I should note that throughout this I have been hearing the growling of the first guy behind me, and as the second man gets closer I hear he is also growling. I reach the keypad, unlock the first door, and quickly slam it closed behind me, until I hear the lock click again. The second man reached the door first, and I saw his face more clearly as it slammed against the glass window of the door. He was also tall with longer hair, and I remember he was wearing overalls. But I mostly remember his wild eyes and his teeth that he gnashed at me right before I turned away, opened the second door, and booked it up the stairs. I didn't even stop until I was in my apartment, had all the doors locked, and was under the covers. I think in retrospect I didn't hear any sign of them following me up the stairs, but I was so convinced they were still on my tail. I think the only reason I got away from them was that they didn't know about this side entrance to my building, so they didn't expect me to keep running past the first entrance. I got up to get my inhaler, was having a near asthma attack at this point, and peeked out the window. My heart sank. I saw the same van that had creeped me out earlier parked across the street from the entrance to my building. The entrance is like right below my apartment window. I then looked down to see 3 men pacing along the side of the building, including the 2 that had chased me. I ducked down fearing they would see me. A few minutes later they start shining flashlights into the windows of apartments. At first I think of course it's only my apartment, but after a while it's clear they're just searching for me. At this point, I tried to call my building manager to let him know about the situation, and he sent out a text alert to our all building list. I was so paranoid another innocent person would be accosted by them, so I called the police. They told me they were on their way and to stay out of the window in case they were armed. A few minutes later, the men are spooked by a faraway police siren and get in the van and peel away. I think it was from a different 911 call, because when the officer arrived to our building, the siren wasn't on. I spent a long sleepless night thinking they'd come back, but they never did. Definitely going to avoid being alone at night from now on. I asked one of the homeless guys I am friendly with if he saw anything suspicious last night, but he said he hadn't. They couldn't have been residents because they didn't leave after management sent that alert to us. The part that sticks with me the most is the growling and intense look in both their eyes. I don't know if they were on drugs or what. They never said any words to me or each other. Haven't heard any updates from the cops, but it's only been a few hours, and they didn't seem that interested in my statement as the van had disappeared when they left.